Hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to the architecture of Cyberpunk 2077. In this video, we are going to take a walk around the Arasaka waterfront. The Arasaka waterfront is a waterfront that is owned by Arasaka. Alright, there you go, we're done. Arasaka, okay. Arasaka is a Japanese megacorp, the Japanese megacorp. In fact, I believe the CEO of Arasaka is also the Japanese emperor. I think. Anyway, so in the fictional world of Cyberpunk, the two major powers is Japan and the United States. Except the United States have been having a pretty bad time in recent decades. But it's not really Japan and the United States, it's more like Arasaka and Militech. Arasaka is the Japanese megacorp, Militech is the American megacorp, and both governments are heavily influenced by the megacorps. We are in Northern California, I think. Except that Night City is sort of like a neutral city. It's like a free city in between North and South California, and the two Californias have declared independence from the United States. So because the United States fell apart, the Japanese, Arasaka, they came in and started expanding their influence into the free states that have broken away from the United States. And so the ongoing conflict is between the United States, which is trying to recover and reincorporate the free states back into the new United States, and they're backed by Militech, and whereas Arasaka is coming in and trying to pull the new states away from the United States and into Japan's sphere of influence, right? So that's the geopolitical conflict. And Arasaka is here in Night City in a big way. Because Night City is a free city, all the corporations are allowed to have a presence here. So you have Arasaka, which is Japan, Militech, which is the United States, Kangtao is Chinese, and then I think Biotechnica is European, and I don't know who the other guy, the Petrochem. I forgot which power the Petrochem is. But all the powers are here, and they're all vying for influence, trying to set up a foothold in Night City, and trying to secure the position here in preparation for the conflict to flare back up again. Everybody expects the war to restart, everybody expects Arasaka and Militech to get back into open conflict. But for now there is an uneasy peace, and so as we look around the city, you see like Arasaka has taken over the waterfront, they've also taken over some other places, and in other places you'll see Militech trying to establish themselves in different parts of the city, trying to set up their sphere of influence, right? Within the city. Okay, so that's the backstory. This is Arasaka's facility on the western side of Northside, and it's just a big industrial park that is owned by Arasaka. Okay, let's go. First up, we're going to cross the road. So as we come across here, so that is Northside Industrial District, and then across the road immediately we have Arasaka. And we begin to see, so this stuff, there we go, Arasaka waterfront. You see that the buildings are newer and a little bit cleaner, although there's some graffiti there. So Arasaka is a new, I don't know if they're a newcomer, they're not really a newcomer, but they're recently expanding in a big way in Night City. And so these are their buildings, I believe, these factories, with an Arasaka logo above the Ankart station there. That's the Arasaka logo. And then what do we have here? We have containers, a bit of a storage area. I guess these are warehouses. But as with all megacorp, all megacorp facilities, they are closed to pedestrians. They don't really have windows or doors, and they just don't want to have anything to do with you, the pedestrian, right? And then coming in this way, we're seriously into Arasaka territory now. There's the big Arasaka logo. And they have this massive steel portals and just black boxes underneath. You can't really tell what these things are, right? Actually, looking at this thing now, the orange steel is bigger than it needs to be, which leads me to suspect that at some point in the future they could add more stuff on top, right? Like those massive steel columns, you don't need that to hold up this. Like this roof is not that heavy. So I guess they're preparing, you know, they're planning ahead, and in the future if they want to add more floors above, they can, because the columns are strong enough to hold up more floors. Maybe at least triple that, maybe even times that by 5 or 10, it's still okay. Although if you times that by 10, you might want to have additional columns. I don't know, maybe at least 5 times. At least 5 times that many floors is no problem for a column that thick, right? And yeah, no, megacorps. Look at that. Look at this amazing urbanism. Ah, look at this beautiful street front. So as we said, the megacorps don't care about you, they don't care about the street. They don't care about the people who walk on the street either. There's no windows? So the game randomly generates pedestrians, but I think they made a mistake here. I don't think there should be pedestrians here, because where are these people going? There's nowhere to go, and there's nothing to do here, right? If you don't work for Arasaka, there's nothing to do here. I mean, there is a door, I guess. We can't go in though. But this is as much as the Arasaka facility interacts with the city. It's just like one door that's not even open. Are these windows? Maybe they can see out from here. We can't see in, but maybe they can see out from the inside, I'm not sure. Oh, look at this thing. It's just a whole lot of nothing. It's just a big black box. Architecture, am I right? So you know there are textbooks, right? There are textbooks that teach you how to build a good city. And this is the exact opposite of how you build a good city. Like you want human scale, and then you want like shop fronts and cafes and restaurants and bars, like a lot of shops and services to serve the people in the neighborhood. And you want to like be open to the streets, and you want to be welcoming, and you might have like furniture in the streets, right? Maybe have, I mean, there are a few trees back there, maybe more trees, and like maybe like eaves to like protect people from the sun and the rain. Like there's all sorts of things you can do to make the streetscape nice for pedestrians, and this is the exact opposite. The exact opposite of what you should be doing. And it just continues. It's the same all the way throughout Arasaka Waterfront. It's just a whole lot of nothing. Look at this though. Red lights, very threatening. Black, bright white logos. So red, white, and black, they're the Arasaka colors. Corporate colors. And the massive steel frame holding everything up, right? Okay, so we're gonna take a break from these beautiful factories to come across the road to Konpeki Plaza. Let me get under here. Konpeki Plaza is this thing. So this is a hotel tower. This is Arasaka's own hotel, where if you, I guess if you're visiting from Japan or something, or if you have business with Arasaka, sometimes you would come here and you stay here. If you're on a business trip and you have business with Arasaka. And as you can see, it's close to us because they're not interested in having poor people like us check out their fancy hotel. But we're not gonna let a little wall like this stop us. Let's go parkour and let's go inside and check out what's inside there. In order to parkour in, we need to get up, right? Let's get up onto this on-ramp. Right, running through here, we'll hop over here onto the on-ramp and then run back that way. Look at those back there, that's little China. Giant towers, giant bridging structure over there. can we say about this? It's a lot of glass, a lot of windows. I guess in a hotel you want good views, but the corners are reinforced. I don't know how well this would stand up against an attack. So this is an important location in the game, and in several instances it does get attacked. Or maybe just once. Anyway, we attack it. Okay, here I think we can climb up. Let me... Oh, get up here. Not yet. We need to get over there. Alright, hopping down to this roof. Fancy. Let me take a look at the tower from here while we're up here. Oh yeah, a lot of windows. So it's a big glass tower. It does lean in slightly. It's slightly diagonal. Not bad. Very modern, very clean. Right, and then from here we jump down. Oh. Oh, almost fell off. Alright, and then down to here, and we're in. Look at that. Parkour. So we're not really supposed to be in here. So some of the close details might not be correct. But anyway, we'll see how far we get. Oh look, Japanese gardens, and look at this grass. Oh my god, look how green this grass is. Can you believe such beautiful grass exists in Night City? I mean, you remember the city outside, right? It's not nice. So there's no rubbish here, and it's really green grass. So the raked sand is a Japanese Buddhist thing, I believe. It's sort of like a meditation to rake the sand. But the sand is supposed to represent water, and it's supposed to be waves against the rocks and the trees. So you're supposed to follow the shape of the rocks. And the rocks aren't that pretty anyway. The rocks are not aesthetically pleasing. Usually, like the sand garden, it's a metaphor for islands in the ocean, which is what Japan is. Japan is islands in the ocean. So it should be standing rocks surrounded by water. Like that's aesthetically pleasing. So this lower stuff, this is not aesthetically pleasing. Just talking about the aesthetics of Japanese gardens, right? So like, then the rocks are kind of ugly. That's kind of ugly. This is not a pretty rock. Like, what's going on here? So the gate that was closed to us earlier, if you come in, there's a big driveway, and the driveway loops around the building. You'll notice there's no door here. The door faces the other way. The door doesn't even face the street. That's north, that's west, by the way. So Japan is in that direction. The hotel faces across the ocean towards Japan. So it doesn't face the city, it faces Japan. Wow, we do have some nice trees here though, and a little water feature. Very nice. Look at this. Immaculate. Immaculate garden. Except for the rocks. The rocks are not aesthetically pleasing. But aside from the rocks, look how clean this is. Look how clean this driveway is. Amazing, right? And they do it deliberately, of course. This is a deliberate contrast to how dirty and ugly the city is. Hold on. How is this staying in place? Are you telling me those tiny little things are holding this in place? Yeah, that's not... Come on. Are you kidding me? Those tiny things are holding this frame in place. I don't really believe that, but okay. Right, so if we follow the driveway around, the cars go through there. That's kind of cool. It's like a little tunnel. You leave one world and then you go to a different world through the tunnel. Is what that feels like. So this is a story location. You do come through here in a fancy taxi and then you go into the plaza on the other side. So outside the roadway, there's this path up here, and then there's that more gardens down there. Oh, that's kind of cool. The rocks, and then the sand, and then the rocks inside. Very modern. We have some a low pavilion here, and a bit of a paved area. Inside the pavilion is bars. There's nobody here though, at the moment at least. But there is space for drinks for a decent number of people in here. And we will understand this better as we go this way. Oh, look at this path, look at that. There's gates on the path. So we're going through this backwards. Let me just go to the end and then I'll come back. What are those guys doing? Hanging out? There are seats along the way. So if we come all the way down here... Oh, what is this? Why are there... What is this? What are these rocks? So this goes down to the water, right? And this is a little bit confusing. So these imply that ships can moor here. You can bring your ship here and you can tie the ship there. But then there's railings here, so I don't know how you would step off the boat. But this implies that visitors can come in by sea and they'll land here. So they arrive here, get off the boat, and so then this is the entrance. You see how this works? This is the sea entrance to the hotel. And then maybe you go straight to the Konpeki Plaza building. Maybe you do, or maybe you come through here, and maybe there's a bit of a reception for you, right? Maybe there's a welcoming party here. You arrive, you meet your guests, you have a few drinks. So that's what this place is, and there's like an entry into this area. And I guess if you just arrived, you can get a few drinks, or if you're leaving and you're waiting for your boat, you can also come here and have a few drinks while you wait for your boat. So that's what this is for, I believe. Oh, actually, let me go back this way, and we want to look at the plaza from the ocean side. Where should we go to do that? Can we step back a bit? Alright, let's step back down here. And look up at it. There's Konpeki Plaza. And if you think about it... Oh, the sun's in the way. If you think about it, this is more like the front of the building. There's the big logo there, right? There's the big Arasaka logo. Konpeki Plaza in Japanese and English. And that faces across the ocean, as we said, towards Japan. So as you're coming in from Japan, this is the front door. This is the gateway for you into Night City from Japan. That's what Konpeki Plaza is. Nice, look at that. Again, a lot of glass. And it steps back on this side. Alright, back up. Coming back up here, the driveway is over there, as we said. More beautiful grass and immaculate gardens. I mean, look at this. So this is the main entrance. This is the front door, even though it's on the other side of the street. On the other side from the street is the front door, and we have a little covered area in case it's raining while you arrive. Although it's not completely covered. Oh, look at that. Come here, get off your car. And in you go. We can't go in right now. Look at this. Interesting that this side is white. It's white and white. White and red and there's less black, right? So on the other side is more black, less friendly. This side is brighter and more welcoming. But it's like it's putting the unwelcoming side to the city and putting the welcoming side towards the ocean, towards Japan, right? I mean, you can tell what's going on. So we can't get inside, because that's closed. What can we say about this? Oh, very nice, look at that. Nice waiting area. Oh, look at that, there's wood. And there's a lattice work in a tatami mat pattern, and it is timber. It's made of wood. And that's also wooden structures. So wooden construction is important in traditional Japanese architecture, right? Historically, a lot of Japanese buildings were made out of timber. And they make a big deal about woodworking joints as well. So Japan is not known for its abundance of iron. There's not that much iron in Japan, and so steel is precious. It explains why they spend so much effort on making their swords really good, because they don't have much steel to work with. They don't have much iron to work with, and so whatever iron they have, they use it very carefully. And so the consequence of not having much iron is they don't use nails very much, because they can't afford to have nails because they don't have enough iron. So they have these intricate woodworking joints that don't require nails. We don't see anything here though, that's unfortunate. In fact, we don't see any intricate woodworking joints in the game at all. That's kind of interesting, slightly uneven. But despite the lack of intricate woodworking joints, you can see they're using timber here in a nod to traditional Japanese architecture. Look at that little timber detailing amongst the fancy stone. Alright, so that's the main entrance to Konpeki Plaza. And then the cars continue around. If you're leaving, you go back that way through another tunnel, right back from this side over to the other side of the tunnel. A tunnel is like a transition from one world to another, metaphorically speaking. If you're not leaving, you can come down here. There is a car park down here. Again, we can't go inside. So down here, this is just concrete, but you know, just concrete. It is beautiful polished concrete. You know, concrete can also be beautiful, right? You know, like how carefully you mix it, how carefully you pour it, and how precisely you make it. I mean, there's concrete and there's concrete. And this is like very, very carefully crafted concrete. Like, look how uniform it is. Like, no cracks. Like, it's all the same color. I mean, obviously it's not real concrete, it's just, you know, a video game. So they can just make the texture look like this. But if you see concrete that looks like this in the real world, they spend time getting it right. Like, look how clean that is. Amazing. I mean, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, there's like bad concrete. If the concrete is badly mixed, you can see it, right? It looks like there's splotches and there's different colors and, you know, crack, and it's just not very good. And like parts of it would just start crumbling because it's not mixed properly. Whereas like well-made concrete that, you know, is carefully done looks amazing. Alright, and that's Konpeki Plaza. On the outside at least, we can't go inside. Anything special to say about this tunnel part? All the columns are slightly diagonal. It's just kind of slightly disconcerting. Alright, let's get back out. To get back out, we want to come here, climb on these rocks. The game doesn't really recognize slopes very well, right? So we get to here and then we're gonna jump. Now we have to go back the other way. Maybe I don't want to be down here, hold on. Oh look, there's the rubbish. Why? Hold on. Why is there rubbish here? How did they get here? How would you... What, you just chuck it over the wall? How did this get here? Why is there rubbish here? That doesn't even make sense. Alright, let's get back down to the ground and continue our tour of the Arasaka Waterfront. Look at those towers back there. I think they're residential towers. I guess if you work in the factories below, you might live here in company accommodation. Completely soulless, of course. It's just row after row of identical residential towers. There is a monorail track up there. So I guess the public transport does go in. Well, it might not be. It could be a private track, a private monorail track. All right. So back down here, look at all this nothing. Look at this awful, awful urbanism, awful urban design. And then there's like guards. There's giant military robots and soldiers guarding the city, guarding the streets and the entrances into the factories, right? These guys are not messing around. Completely hostile. Arasaka is completely hostile to you and your friends. This is slightly interesting, look at that. There's a living wall here. There's plants stuck to the wall. So the way that works is there's like a plastic net or like a mesh. It's a fabric. It's a plastic fabric, and the plants, the roots go into the fabric, and then behind the fabric you would drip down water with nutrients in it. So it's hydroponics, and it's kind of, you just strip that down behind the plastic where the roots are, and so the front of the plants are on this side, and then the roots are on the other side. And you feed the nutrients from behind. That's how this thing grows. These are living walls. You do need to maintain them though, because plants, they're not really supposed to grow like this. So you kind of have to make sure that the coverage is even, and you gotta make sure that the water is getting everywhere. And sometimes you have to like add more plants to it if any parts of it starts to die off, right? Anyway. Way more trouble than it's worth, these vertical gardens, in my opinion, but they look good. So if you have a lot of money, I guess, you just put one of these things in to show off how much money you have. Alright, coming around this way. The giant Arasaka factory continues above us, straddling the road. Are these windows? We can't see inside, right? Can they... Oh no. There's a steel shutter behind there, look at that. You can see a little bit. I mean, why is there glass there if they're gonna close it anyway? They're pretending to have windows? But they're not that serious about it? And like, are those windows? You can't see through them. Can they see out? I don't know. What is that? An advertisement on the road. Alright, getting through here, there's a whole lot of factories. Oh, this road splits up and down, huh? So that goes straight across. Oh, don't get run over. There's no space for the pedestrians at all. Down here, the road goes this way and back up. So there, the road on the map On the map, the road actually keeps going through, but in the actual world, it's been completely taken over by the Arasaka factory, right? Down here, there's actually a car park. So there's an underground car park, but with no cars in it. There's because the Arasaka people, they don't drive, right? So look at this, there's arrows. There's a car park. I mean, there's a one car. There's a few cars. Oh, I can steal the car. Nice. But then most of it is just kind of a construction site, but nothing's really being built. And then some homeless people have set up in here as well. Yeah. So there's a car park with no real cars in it. Hotel, very funny. Very funny. So this homeless people have set up an encampment here. And they're calling it a hotel. And then if we come back up, there's a public square. Except there's nothing here. There's hardly any people. I guess there's a few shops on that side. There's a few shops on the north side. But then all of this is just nothing. Because the factories have nothing, right? So the Arasaka factory is back there. And there's no shops or anything. So there's nothing for anyone to do if they come here. I don't even know if those shops are still open. Alright, so what's going on? There's a car park with no cars in it, and then there's a public square with no people in it. So in city planning, often if you have a big project in the middle of the city, you kind of have to negotiate with the city council, right? Because you have to get permission from the city council to build a big thing in the city. And often the city council would have conditions. And one of the conditions possibly is you have to provide car parking and you have to provide public open space, right? Because that's what the city needs. The city needs enough car parking for people in the city, and the city needs enough public open space for the people. And so if you want something from the city, like, oh, I want to build a giant factory on the side of the city council would set those conditions before they give you permission, because that's what the city wants, right? So maybe that's what this is. It's like Arasaka comes in and they say, okay, I'm going to build a giant factory here. And then the night city council says, okay, well, you have to provide this much car parking and this much public open space. And if you do those things, then we can let you build the factory. And Arasaka's like, okay, we're going to do that. We're going to put a car park and a public open space. Except that they don't do anything. One, the car park is empty because nobody in Arasaka actually drives. And then everybody in Northside is unemployed anyway, so what are they doing? So nobody drives to these factories, and so these factories don't need car parks. And then the public open space, nobody from the factories actually come outside because it's a megacorp, so they're all inside the buildings 24 hours a day. And so nobody comes out here from there, and then there's nothing there because all the businesses on Northside are closed because Arasaka has displaced all the jobs. And so nothing happens here, and so they said, okay, the city requires car parking and open space, and so we make car parking and open space. But actually, it's not actually what's useful, right? What the city actually needs is for the megacorp to not be so monolithic. Is they need the megacorps to agree to economically interact with the rest of the city, but the megacorps aren't gonna do that. They just have everything internalized, and so like everything is closed. Nobody ever comes out, and that's how megacorps operate. And I guess that's what this is, because otherwise, well, how would you explain this? How would you explain? Yeah, but there you go. And actually, if you go to like some cities, New York is one. Like a lot of buildings in a big city, or like in a lot of you have like a tower, and then you have a bit of a garden. And it's obvious that the garden or the square or the public plaza is like it's part of the building, is a part of the you know, the project. And it's public open space, right? And that's because the city, I'm sure New York does this. Like the city requires anybody who wants to build a big tower, they require the people to also provide public open space. That's just how, you know, city planning works. And that's what this would be. Except that, you know, what they want you to do is then for the people who work in the tower to like come out for lunch and then so on. You know what I mean? Except these guys don't, they just stay inside. So if we come this way, this is Northside on the other side of the road. Let me come this way. I mean, there's a few things here, it's not completely dead. Like there's a guy selling food back there. So like on the very edge of it, there's a few shops. But not really, like it's mostly dead. Right, so this up is Northside. This is Arasaka Waterfront, and again, it's just completely closed. No interaction with the city at all. Look at that, are those apartments? People used to live here. Maybe they still do. This is a street. So we went down, you see the slope down there, let me just get closer. So we turned to the south from here earlier. Back there, there's a whole lot of nothing. There's blue light. Cold lights. So there's like cold colors and warm colors, right? So like blues, greens, purples are blues. Yeah, those are the cool colors. And then red, orange, and yellow are the warm colors. And you associate those with different feelings, right? Like even just, you know, unconsciously, you associate the cold colors with cold. And then you associate the warm colors with warmth. And it does actually have a psychological effect. They've done scientific studies on this. Cold colors make people focus more and work harder, and warm colors make people relax.
You started it.
And so a lot of offices would have cold lights where people work, and they'll have warmer lights where people relax, if they have space for you to relax. Because some businesses just want you to work 24 hours a day. But there are actually psychological studies that people have done to see how lighting colors affect productivity. That's right, they test those things. Look at that guy. Alright, continues to have heavily armed security guards. And the Arasaka factory continues to be completely opaque and inaccessible. Look at this. And that's the whole thing. I'm gonna follow this all the way to the edge. I'm just looking up there. That's the maglev. Is that a maglev track? I think it is. We don't see any maglevs running though. Look at that. This factory just goes on and on and on. Just all the way down. Northside is there, so you can compare and contrast the old factories versus the new factories, right? The normal businesses, and then the megacorp. Oh look, there's a bit of a shipping area here. Look at that, there's containers, is that a forklift? And I guess the trucks come out here. It's not very big though, is it? I mean, I'm not sure why this even exists. It's tiny. Tiny little shipping area. And then the road ends here, although the road would have gone in there, but Arasaka has taken over the road and put guards in front of it. Do we also go down? I think we do. Look. So the factories continue down there, although they're a little less monolithic down there. And then there's more stuff. Can I jump over here? I think I can. I just want to try not to break my legs falling down though. Oh, nice, very good. Oh, there's guards down there. Let's not get too close to those guys, they might get unhappy. Alright, so what is down here? This is Northside? I don't think this is Arasaka stuff. Oh, some sort of chemical spill? So the Arasaka facility continues that way, although I think it also goes underground there. And what is this? It looks like they've just cannibalized this factory. Like, this is like a part of a factory, and then they just... I don't know why they did that. That doesn't really make sense. Coming down this way, look at that. A, B, and C. Are those cranes, or are those the... Those are cranes. So back there, those are the aerial transport towers. And the Arasaka factory continues down here. Although I don't know if it's a factory or a port now. I think this is a port. I mean, we can't tell what's inside the giant sheds. So inside the big black sheds, something is going on. I think this is the port. Maybe all of that is the port as well. And then coming around here... Oh, those are the aerial transport towers back there. Alright, and you know, for a normal person, this would be the end of the tour, because what we can say about the Arasaka waterfront is that it is completely closed to pedestrians and nobody's allowed inside unless you're Arasaka. That's what a normal person would say, but we're not normal people. We have the power of parkour. We're gonna jump inside. Alright, we're gonna have to ride the bike all the way back. Let's get back to the other end. And we're gonna jump our way inside the Arasaka port to the other side of this. How far do I have to go? I need to go to the other side of Konpeki Tower, swim around the outside of Konpeki Tower. Turn. There's Konpeki Tower. I need to go back that way. So we need to do a similar parkour thing as before. Up here. Oops. Alright, up this way. So, across this wall... But we don't go inside this time, we go outside. There's invisible walls around the water's edge at Konpeki Tower, so you can't go in and into the water, you have to come this way. Let me do that. Road closed. Wait a minute, is there meant to be a tunnel here? Hold on, let me just check the map. Oh, there's a tunnel here. Where does that go? Nowhere that we're aware of. How do I get to the other side of the tunnel? Alright, how do we feel about this jump? Nice. Wait a minute. That's not a real tunnel. That's just rocks. Knows what's going on there? Okay. What am I stuck on? There's an invisible wall. Crap. Oh no! Alright, jumped all over it. So we're not supposed to be here, and things are gonna get a bit strange because the geometry is not what you expect, right? Yeah, we're going into areas that are supposed to be out of bounds. So expect some strange stuff to happen. It's gonna take a while. I'm gonna have to swim. Around Konpeki Tower. Maybe I could have gone the other way. I'm not sure actually. No, we have to go this way. Oh, look at this. We have... What are these called? They're to reduce the impact of waves on the shoreline. So we said earlier there's mooring facilities up here, but if this is in the way, how would ships get in close? I'm not sure how to read this. Not that it matters, we never see ships come in the game. And you're not supposed to come in here anyway, so maybe it's just stuff that you're not supposed to think about. Well, I guess there's plenty of space here. A ship can fit in here, right? Look at that back there. So the Arasaka Waterfront is a large port facility. And there already you can see cranes and places for ships to dock. Alright, coming in here. There's Konpeki Tower. We have containers over there, so you can see how it's a container port, but it only serves Arasaka, right? Remember how there was a port over in Northside and there's basically no ships there? It's because Arasaka built their own port, so they don't use the other port, they use their own port. And because they've monopolized the economy, everything comes through here now and nothing goes through the main port. Right, so let me quick save. We need to parkour around here. I've done this before. Let's see if I can make this work. I might fail a few times. Fail. Ah, that was close. That was close. We also almost made it. Okay, up the ladder. Let's try this again. I'm trying to triangle jump. I'm trying to jump out around the barbed wire and then air dash back in. And it is possible because I've done it before. Alright, I'm gonna... Oh, no, I hit the barbed wire. So if you hit the barbed wire, it knocks you back. Gotta make sure we get around the barbed wire and then dash back in. Alright, come on, how hard can it be? Maybe I need to get on top of this. Can I get on top without falling down? None of this is really supposed to be accessible, right? So... Alright, how hard can it be? What? I had it! What happened? I totally had it. They didn't patch the game just to stop me from doing this, did they? No way. Oh, I'm too high up? Because there's more barbed wire there, but it's higher up, right? Maybe I'm too high up, and I'm hitting the barbed wire. I have done this before, I promise. Oh, you don't need to dash back in. Alright, we landed on this ledge. I just have to be careful not to fall off, and then we climb in. There you go, we made it! Parkour, baby! Okay, and now we're inside the Arasaka port. Check it out. Let's go running. So, because you're not supposed to come back here, this whole place is missing the details. It looks impressive from a distance, and so all the large scale stuff makes a lot of sense, but there's no small scale stuff, right? So we have cranes. See, like even here there's no containers. But imagine this is a busy shipping port with containers here. Not too sure what this is. I think there's pipes inside this rectangular sheath. Not too sure though. You can kind of see it out there, like you can see those going into the water. You can see that going into the water. There's too many of them. So in the real world, sometimes LNG ports, LNG liquid natural gas, sometimes LNG ports would have pipes going into the water, and the LNG tankers, instead of coming to the shoreline to unload, they just stay out in deeper water and the pipe goes out to them, and then they pump the gas, or they pump the liquefied gas through the pipes into storage on land. And so the idea is that building the pipe out into the deep water is cheaper than dredging the shallow water to make enough depth for the ships to come in close, right? So with container ships, the container ships have to come in close because you have to take the containers off the ship with a crane, right? So the crane is only so big. So container ships have to come in to the shore, and then you have to dredge the water to make sure it's deep enough for the container ships. But a gas tanker, because it's gas, you can pump it through a pipe, so the ship doesn't really have to come close to the shore if you can stick the pipe out into the water to where the ship is, and so you don't have to dredge. Does that make sense? So LNG ports will have, sometimes, if it's like a shallow water, they'll have the pipe go all the way out into the deep water where the ships are. And that's kind of what that looks like out there. Look at that. So those are pipes, and they like go into the water, and you would expect something out there. There'll be like a place for the ships to stop and unload the gas, maybe. Anyway, I don't know if they've really thought about this to that much detail. It just looks like random industrial stuff. Like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. It goes into the water, but what is it? What is it? Cables? Pipes? If it's pipes, where is it piping from? I don't know. Who knows? I think it's just meant to look vaguely industrial and vaguely futuristic. I don't think it means anything, right? So we have space for 2 ships there, and then space for another 2 ships here. Right, more cranes. Very cool. None of this has any details in it, so we can't really tell what that is. I guess it'll be a big warehouse. There's no container yard, by the way, so often with a cargo port, there'll be just a big open space filled with containers stacked up. And that's where you store the containers that you take off the ship and before you put them on the ship. So there'll be a giant container yard. Here we don't have a container yard, but maybe the container yard is just indoors for some reason. Containers don't really need to be indoors. But it might be better, right? Because indoors you have climate control, you have temperature control. So I guess if you have sensitive stuff, maybe it's cheaper to, you know, air condition the whole container yard as opposed to having individual climate controlled containers outdoors, maybe. But there's a certain aspect to this where I think Arasaka just wants to keep everything secret. Right? At some level, you look at all the Arasaka buildings, they're just all closed and opaque. And I think it's just secrecy, right? They're supposed to look mysterious and maybe slightly suspicious. You know, it's all closed off, you can't tell what they're doing, you know, very suspicious. What are these Japanese guys doing inside the closed building? Right? It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to, the whole idea of this monolithic megacorp that you don't really understand, and they're not friendly, they're not open, they don't want to tell you anything, right? And so like that's why you put all the containers indoors. So you can't even tell how many containers they have, right? Never mind what's inside the containers. They just don't want you to know anything. As we come to the edge here, there are some tanks. I guess the ships need fuel. And that's a big gas tank there. So usually this is for liquids and that's for gas. Pressurized gas. So with pressurized gas you want a spherical container because that's the optimal shape to for strength. You need to keep the gas under pressure, and so it needs to be strong, and the sphere is optimal for strength. So that suggests pressurized gas. These suggest just fluids. Not that, you know, I'm not sure they thought that hard about it, but if this is pressurized gas, so like as I said earlier, if that's a pipe going out, like in a natural gas terminal, then this would be gas storage, and that would make sense, right? More cranes there, different kind of crane though. These are more like construction cranes than harbor cranes. But we're not gonna be too picky about that. Do we need to run out there? I don't think we need to run out there. There's not much to say about this. This goes all the way out into the water. Oh, this is also a breakwater, right? So it blocks the bigger waves and keeps the port area calmer. So you don't have to deal with big waves inside. Running this way, we get a slightly closer look at the big towers. And there are like platforms on both sides. I think that's where the aerial vehicles are supposed to land, on those platforms. But since it's all science fiction, we don't really know how any of this works, right? They look cool though. Like, I like the idea of big landing pads for enormous aerial cargo transports, like those back there. Right, those things. So A and B are kind of on land, and you can imagine you can move containers into the building and have big elevators to bring them up. That one I'm not sure about because it's surrounded by water, right? How would you get the cargo to and from that tower? Unless there's something underwater? Maybe something underground? It seems a little silly though. Like you would expect this to be like closer to the warehouses, so any containers you need to move, because it doesn't matter where they are, right? Because the flying vehicles, they fly, you can put the towers anywhere, and it doesn't matter for the flying vehicles. It's not like for the ships. The ships have to be in the water, so you have to put the port next to the water, right? Whereas the aerial vehicle port, the airport, it could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be out in the water like that. But again, I think they did that just to have it look cool in the distance. mean, I'm not even sure how any of that works, because wouldn't you need cranes to take the containers off the aerial transport? I don't know if they thought about this that carefully. They probably didn't. I mean, the nerd in me, the engineering nerd and the logistics nerd in me wants to think about like, oh, you have a whole new type of transport. How would you design your shipping port to accommodate giant flying cargo ships? Like, there's a part of me that wants to like work this out and design an airport. Out here we have more cranes. I guess this is more ships, although why would this be here? Around the back like this? Maybe this is for their secret cargo that they don't want anyone in the main port to see. Because the water's down there, right? And the cranes are there, right? So you will like unload and load from here up and down onto the ship. But why? Yeah, there's a separate facility on this side. Alright, and that's the port, but we're still not done. There's some more stuff we can look at. Let me run back this way. Oh yeah, no, the roads. Remember how on the outside the roads disappear into the Arasaka facility? So the roads continue in here, and you can call your cars and drive your car around inside here. Which is very interesting. It might be an oversight. I don't think they expect anyone to actually be in here. But anyway, you can call your car into here. You can kind of drive on these roads inside the Arasaka facility. So the road's going to there, that doesn't make any sense. But you're not supposed to see that anyway. And that, like, just disappears. Alright, we better get off our bike, because there's no more roads. So, running back this way. Look at those giant flying transports. In the game, you never see them actually dock. They just fly around in the background. You never see them land. You never see them load and unload their cargo. So the game, like, they didn't really think about how they actually work. But there are some things that are implied. Like the transport companies with their buildings with the big platforms on top. Alright, how are we doing this? We can't get up on the roof. If I can remember. Oh, there you go. So now we're up here, right? And then... oh, there you go. And then... huh. Oh, there you go. And then... right. And then... onto the roof. Okay. And here we are. On the roof of the big Arasaka building. Not that there's really much to see up here, because again, you're not supposed to come up here. So they didn't really put anything up here. There are those things though. So they're... let's get closer. It's a little complex up here. So some of this geometry is not what it seems, right? Look at that, I'm just walking. So there's an invisible box here. And what's this? Oh, that's just missing that part? Yeah, no, you're not supposed to be up here. So some of the stuff is just missing geometry or missing textures. Just gotta be careful. Oh, careful where you're going. What is this? Why is this white? Oh, there's a big Arasaka logo on the roof. That's what this is. Let's try not to get stuck in geometry. Yeah, so these things, they look like residential towers just because of the pattern of the windows. Well, it looks like, you know, rooms. It kind of looks like you have like a lounge and then 2 bedrooms. It's kind of what that looks like. And then there's those things on the sides. I don't know what those are. They look like air conditioning units. And maybe it provides air conditioning for the entire facility down below, right? Because you imagine there's a closed box. You need ventilation somehow. So maybe that, like all those fans, are just ventilation for all these boxes down below. But if it is air conditioning equipment, and you put them right next to the residential stuff, wouldn't it be really noisy for the people in those apartments? So I don't know how that works. Unless they're not apartments, unless they're something else, what would they be? If they're offices, the noise would still be a problem. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. But the factory logically would need residential apartments for the people who work here if the corporation is providing corporate housing. And it would need air conditioning for the giant boxes. So like, I mean, you kind of need these things. I'm just not sure putting them in the same building like this, putting the giant air conditioning thing right next to your rooms, your bedrooms. Seems not very sensible to me. But again, at some level, it just looks cool, right? Now there's no geometry on this. So I'm sure there's geometry on the red stuff. I have been up here before. There's no geometry on the black stuff. No hitboxes, I mean. Coming through here. Look at those towers up there, pretty cool, right? And look at these residential towers, also very cool. I just want to quickly go to the edge of the factory and look down from here. Look back down at the city streets. What was that? That was a flying vehicle, I think. There's a big circular shape. No idea what that means. We're not done. Alright, so there's the train track there. Let me go this way. Let's take a look at those. Oh, very nice. Look at that. Oh no, don't. Alright, don't do this. Get back up.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Oh god. Alright, don't fall off. Okay, stay up here. Stay up here. Everything else may not be safe. So coming across here, what is that down there? Oh, this is one of the roads that Arasaka has blocked off, right? I mean, I guess they have internal streets. So if we say that, well, they don't interact with the public streets, but maybe they have internal streets, and maybe the workers hang out on the internal streets inside the facility, right? Maybe. I mean, there's nothing there now because we're not supposed to be here, so there's nothing for us to see. There's the train track. There's an implied train station there. Hold on, let me come down here. So again, there's some internal streets inside the factory block. I want to make sure I don't fall down because I don't know if I can get back out again if I fall down. Right, we might be trapped in there forever if we fall down there. Internal streets going underneath the overhanging buildings. Right, and this is, we were here before, so there's public plaza is over there, and then the car park is underneath there, right? If you remember, we were... Oh god. Geometry, alright, we're fine. Remember this bit? Okay, let's keep going. Try not to fall down, that'll be really embarrassing. They do have internal courtyards. So you look at that thing there, you can't, again there's nothing in there because you can't see inside normally. But there's trees there, so there's implied that inside the wall there might be a garden in there, and there might be a garden down here as well. Right. So behind the high walls, Arasaka have everything internal, is what's implied. Alright, I think we're done here, let's get off. Right, another internal square behind the walls. There's the public plaza where nothing happens. Okay, so we need to get back down without falling to our deaths. And we can do that by Konpeki Plaza. If I can remember how to get out of here. We can always jump back into the port and then swim back out, but we don't have to swim back out. Here. Up ahead. I don't think any monorails actually use this particular track. Some of these tracks are decorative. Okay, so I think I can get down here. Konpeki Plaza again, by the way. Just a big glass tower. Black, a little bit like the Willis Center, right? A little bit. Pretty classic modernism. So I think I can jump onto the top of that wall and survive. Oh, gotta land on it though, don't misjudge. Oh, is there an invisible wall here? What's going on? Am I in the wrong place? There's an invisible wall there. I swear I've done this before. Huh. That's odd. Oh, I need to... Oh, right, the invisible wall is... here. There you go. Oh, we don't die. And then here is probably also okay. And we're fine. Alright, good, we're out. Okay, so... that is... the Arasaka Waterfront. So it's a big port slash factory slash container yard, but everything is indoors and everything is closed to outsiders. And that's it. That's the whole thing. It's black and with a bit of red. It's a big black box, and that's it. that's the whole district. The whole district is just a black box. And really, that's, you know, that's the megacorp. That's Arasaka. They're not interested in interacting with you. They just hear like it's a... They have their own enclave. It's completely shut off to outsiders like you. And they do everything inside and they have no interest in interacting with you. So it's like very unfriendly. Not outright hostile, but they're not welcoming, right? And that's Arasaka. That's all we need to say about it. And like this stuff too, before I go, like seats where nobody sits. Like what is this? I mean, Arasaka obviously has no intention of ever using these streets. I mean, I guess this again, maybe Night City Council says, okay, you need public spaces, and Arasaka's like, okay, fine, we put in public spaces. But they don't mean it, right? Obviously, they don't actually mean it. Okay, so we've been around all of Watson. Is there anything else we need to say? There's nothing else I need to say about this, right? It's just, yeah, no, nothing else to say. We're going over to the city center, and we're going to Konpeki Plaza, which is that district there. So we've been through all of Watson, Little China, Kabuki, Northside, Arasaka Waterfront. So let me drive my bike to there, to this point, and then next week we will, well, next time we will go check out Konpeki Plaza, right? Where's my bike? So if we follow the edge of Little China around here, and as we said earlier, there's like a strip of corporate influence along the side of the district. I was looking at the map. So not this bridge, the next bridge.
You just fuck off now, okay?
The next bridge, is it this bridge? I think it is. Alright, I'm gonna stop there. Next time we go check out Konpeki Plaza across the bridge. Alright, see you next time.